Hello, everybody, wherever you may be. My name's Larry. My call sign is Kilo 7 Hotel November. I'd like to welcome you back to my shack here in the Pacific Northwest. This is Ham Radio Live, show number 62. This is going to be fun. Going to be a trip down memory lane. Now, I've had some requests from folks to do some shortwave stuff. That's where I started a long time ago. Well, actually, it was medium wave. Loved medium wave stuff. It was cool. And I really thoroughly enjoyed it because, I could hear stations from so far away. It was like, oh my gosh, this is the neatest thing ever. Listen to this.
Like the and life-changing success in Divine Wellness, may the vegan lifestyle be promoted by all doctors for
Do you hear
healthier
that?
bodies and more
Now,
compassionate care.
let me tell you what that was.
Wildlife protection increases endangered animal population. Dr. James Watson from the University of
This is Radio Australia,
along with Dr.
now called ABC. Okay. In the old days, it was Radio Australia. We called it ABC. That's what they call it. We always called it Radio Australia. Played a ton of great music. Anyway, this is Radio Australia. We're on 60 meters, and there are tons of shortwave stations still on the air. Not like it used to be. Used to be a lot better, Like when you go down here we're going to do this on purpose to WWV because it's perfect time to do it. We'll go down to WWV. We're going to hear a special announcement from Jane Barbie. Just a moment. Whoop, wait a minute. In fact, I think we missed it. It's at 59, so it's at 59 after the hour. So we just missed that one. Jane Barbie, who you'll hear in a second, is on WWVH off of the island of Kauai. That's the old time lady. When you called the time? Yeah. They had her voice recorded, and she helps to give the time on WWVH only.
9 hours, 2 minutes, coordinated universal time.
At the tone, 9 hours, 2 minutes, coordinated universal time.
And there you go. See? So at 59 after the hour and at 29 after the hour on WWV and on WWVH, you'll have Jane Barbie, and she'll be doing the station identification right there at 59 and at 29 every hour. So if you have a chance to hear her, that's the old time lady when you'd call up and she'd say, at the tone, the time will be. Yeah, that's her. Pretty cool. Let's take a look at the rig cam. We'll see what else we can come up with. A lot of religious programming still on shortwave. Sadly, some of the stations are long gone. There were some stations that were here for a while, and they are no longer. You can hear some wonderful music on shortwave. Oh boy. Getting a lot of fade there, but that gives you a good idea.
Mandatario cubano, presidente por dentro de la central, a que se retoman este lunes diputados a la Asamblea Nacional.
That gives you a good idea of what it is. We'll scoot up the dial towards the top. There we go. Here's where it all begins again. Begins with ABC, which is Australia. This is out of Hobart, Australia.
In order to
Of course, religious broadcast there.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Brother Stare.
This is a little opening. And I think sometimes the saints actually help him do his work. And they get a lot done for him without even recognizing under whose power.
La conversación de Jesús con Nicodemo. En ese famoso capítulo, Jesús revela por primera vez la necesidad del bautismo para la salvación. Lo que dice Jesús, hay que nacer del agua. al corazón del alma y del espíritu. Este es el primer canal.
Just use a little contour off of the 101 just to kind of bring that hash down a little bit. Now, I've got to tell you, I cut this show earlier, and I didn't realize the first minute was dead air, basically. No. I still have enough broadcasting talent in me to know you don't put that on there. So, we are scooting up the dial, a night of shortwave on Ham Radio Live. I want to tell you, too, you don't need to have an expensive ham radio to do this. You don't. You can buy something really inexpensive. For example, on Amazon, I believe they still carry this. I know there's an updated model to it now, but this is a great shortwave radio. It also picks up the ham bands plus AM, FM, plus the aircraft bands. So, yeah, you hear the planes landing and police and fire. And this is the Texan PL880. Okay, whoops, upside down on you. That's the Texan PL880. That's a great radio. Sounds really good, too. I mean, it's a much more full-sounding radio. It has a lot more low end to it. And you wouldn't think a small radio like this would have so much low end, but it does. It's got a great speaker. And I think that's what the 880 is really known for, is it has a very rich, full sound. Some folks that do DX don't like that because they feel it takes away the ability to hear the real far off stations, because it's a little heavy on the low frequencies, but I think it's a great radio. This is a good one. Last I saw on Amazon, this one was, I think, $159.99, so $160 plus tax. I have to get used saying that. We don't have sales tax here in Oregon, so that's it. But that's the Texas PL880. So you can do that with this. You can also get one of these Eaton satellites. This is great. Eaton and Grundig. Grundig was a long time shortwave radio receiver producer. Produced them forever. Anyway, Eaton and Grundig became Eaton, and now it's all Eaton stuff, but basically Grundig, engineering. So that's good stuff. Grundig is good. Very, very good. Or you could go with something from Sony. Sony's well known. One of the best shortwave receivers ever made is the Sony 2010. For U.S. export models were called the 2001. Okay, but if you can get one of those, usually about $250 to $300. They stopped making them in 2003, I believe. They ran those for about 18 years. Long time. But this is a tiny little brother to it. I should actually say little brother to it. I've shown this before on the channel. This is the Sony ICF SW100, and it's very, very close to the sensitivity and selectivity of that Sony 2010 or 2001. Neat little radio. Thing you got to worry about with this is there's two things. There's a ribbon cable that goes between the two halves, and here in the battery compartment, they put a spring on the end where you put your AA batteries in, and it's a little bit too strong, so it tends to break the battery door. If you get one of these, and they are going to be collectible items, these are things that is said the CIA used these radios right here when they were, on covert missions, because they're just tiny little radios. They're small. They're like a wallet size. Anyway, the ribbon cable that connects the upper part and the lower part of the shell. Anyway, back to the recap. See if we can grab some more, and we'll take a look here real quick. And by the way, please forgive me. The other night I gave you a wrong formula. I have just been killing myself over this. The way to figure frequency, for meter bands is 300. The number 300 divided by the frequency you're on will tell you the meter band. Now, here's where we run into a problem. Let's do this. let's have a little fun. And since the channel is really about helping to teach folks about ham radio, I think it'd be nice to be able to help you understand sometimes things are done just out of tradition and not, being right. That does happen. Let me show you a good example of that. Let's say, for example, you're on the ham bands and you're on what we call 40 meters, right? Okay, so you're at 7190. Say 7190, okay? So you take 300 divided by 7190, and that will put you on the 41 meter band. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's say you're at, I don't know, let's say you're going to be on 20 meters, all right? You're going to be you're going to be broadcasting, you get a microphone, having a good conversation at 14,275. 14,275. So we go 300 divided by 14.275, and you get 21 meters. You're not on 20 meters. In fact, if you go lower, you're on 22. Yeah. Did you know that? Yeah, if you're all the way down doing CW, say you're at 14,010, and yeah, you'll end up on 22. So it's just kind of one of those things that you just kind of look at and you say, no, I said 22. I'm sorry, 20. You're still 21, but you're 21.4. So yeah, really very little of what we call the 20 meter band in ham radio is 20 meters. Very tiny bit. But because it's tradition, it's what we do. Easy to remember, 40 and 20. So even though they're wrong, so is 17. We still use them. Now, when you get to 7580, it's much easier. But anyway, it shows about shortwave. So you don't need a really expensive radio to do this. In fact, I'm going to try something. I want to try something real quick. I'll explain this to you later. Perfect. Okay. Okay. This is really neat. I'm excited to share this with you. I'm going to show pictures of this tomorrow. Okay. I put up a G5RV because I really desperately need to put up a phasing antenna because of my neighbor's waterfall pump creates all the RF havoc. And he's really nice to me. He turns it off at night, which is great. That's why when you look at this screen, you don't see all this just awful RFI everywhere. I mean, it's not there. So I'm grateful for that. But once we get to daytime, yikes. So put up the antenna. It's an old G5RV. Just put it along my antenna. This is really, basic 6-foot fence, running along about 4 feet, 3 to 4 inches below the top of the fence. So it's, well, I guess it wouldn't be that much, maybe 2 or 3 because it's above the rail. So yeah, about 2 or 3 inches above, and it's a full size, G5RV, and it's stretched in a weird way, makes like a big old fashioned U flat at 5 or so feet, 5 feet, 7 inches, whatever. It's working. This is it right here. We'll listen to shortwave off of that. This is off of a fence, believe it or not. So let's take a look and see what we can get.
The power, these men are slaves of the Most High God. You can't see the power of the God.
Islands, just in the tourism industry, are often only seasonal and don't stay. That's the reason.
Have to go ways down, get near WWV, find a few more. And then if you zoom your way up, and you got to move a little bit to get there, but you'll get there. All right. Here we are. Whoops. Here we go. Sounds like the same voice, right? It's because it is. What shortwave stations do, for those of you who are new to ham radio or new to shortwave radio, they have multiple transmitters on multiple frequencies. And so They send on towers facing different directions their signal. That's how it works. So, seeing a lot of interference here now. Anyway, that's how it works. It's kind of neat because you can see all these stations that you heard maybe, I don't know, 3 megs down the dial, and all of a sudden they're back. Yeah. But let's take a look again. Looks like you're getting a little noisy on the fence antenna. Hold on. We'll move up to the vertical here just to be safe. Just to make it easier. Sounds like the fence antenna will pick up either one though. He's got a lot of frequencies, isn't he? Yeah, we're getting a little bit of the pump there. Yeah. Little pump. You can see it just kind of flaring up. Now, one station that would be really cool to hear, really, I mean, it's very cool to hear, is if you can pick up WRMI. WRMI is really neat. That's a great station. It's out of Florida. It's 1.6 million watts, and it is solid. I mean, the thing is just so good. And one of the things I love about WRMI is the music. The music's pretty cool. It really is. It's one of those things you just really excited you get to hear. It's fun. Find a little bit more here. Just spinning up the shortwave dial. Just a little bit of shortwave tonight. Have a little fun. Thanks for our angry guy again. Not angry, he's just preaching with passion. We'll go that way. Yes. See? R5. Beacon. Oh, WWV, excuse me.
At the tone, 9 hours, 18 minutes, coordinated universal time.
Okay, here's one for you. And they're talking about the Mars thing, the thing with the Mars stations. Okay. Do you know why we didn't hear? And this is for new hams. The hams that have been around know this already. But do you know why, when we first heard WWV on 5 megahertz, we heard Jane Barbie's voice first from WWVH, and then we didn't hear it on 2.5 megahertz? Any thoughts why? Any ideas? Well, the reason why is because at 2.5 megahertz, your propagation is much different. You don't have as long of a skip distance as you do on 5 megahertz. That's why. So when you get up to 5, 7, 9 megahertz, especially at night, you're going to get really long skip propagation. It's going to be great. But when you're way down at 2.5, you're just above the AM broadcast band. So that's why you're not going to get, 2,500, miles to be able to hear Jane Barbie's voice on WWVH. So I hope you enjoyed the show. A little bit of shortwave tonight. And we will do a little segment on Radio Havana because that deserves really its own segment by itself because Radio Havana is a treat. And I'm going to tell you, I am 100% behind America. I'm a US guy. I love US products. I'm very strong with that. However, I do like the stuff that the music, especially that Radio Havana plays. It's great music. It's awesome music. They have a good program on Sunday nights talking about radio propagation. They have some good programming. I don't agree with any of their news, but I like their music. So, hey, we can like that. We just don't have to agree on the news. So, and I have a good friend in Cuba who's a good ham buddy. So, I can tell you one thing. This is the honest truth. Wherever you live, people are people. And they all have feelings and they all truly, most at least, they want to do the right thing. Thanks for watching tonight. It's been my honor and privilege to bring you a very short show about shortwave radio. Shortwave, especially in the 1920s to 1950s, was the medium for people to hear world news and find out what was happening around the world. It still exists. Just have to look for it. Thanks for watching, everybody. It's been a pleasure to spend this time with you. Until next time, God bless you. Thank you for watching, and good night, everybody.